What is the best AI tool for case law research? My name is Anthony Bandiero. I'm an attorney and senior legal instructor for Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training. Bring you to the Roadside Chat. This is a question that I feel pretty qualified to answer. I have been using AI pretty much since it launched, and I've had some really good results, and I've also had some very bad results, and I've almost fallen for some traps of where I thought something was legit, but actually wasn't. And so I think the first thing we have to start with is that this is a common question that officers ask. Some of the people that follow me on my channel are like me. They just really, they love case law. They love researching it. They love knowing the doctrines. They feel more confident at work and so forth. And sometimes they get the bug, right? They go to a Blue to Gold class and like, man, actually search and seizure doesn't have to be boring and snoring and so forth. I think, and they also feel motivated to learn more because they want to get it right every single time. Well, be careful because ChatGPT or AI in general is not the end-all be-all right now. It's still in its formative stages. It comes off as very, like when it gives you answers, you think, man, okay, I got it. This is golden. This is exactly what I was looking for. And you can end up falling for what this officer fell, this lawyer fell for. And again, he's a lawyer, not even an officer. He's legally trained, should know better. But he used ChatGPT to find some personal injury cases involving airlines. And it was just a routine personal injury suit. He used ChatGPT. He put in there his queries. He got case law, quotes and everything. Not only quotes, but actually the names of the cases, their citations, which is how you find cases, right? The year that the case was decided, what court, and so forth. And he was like, this is perfect. I can actually get off work now a little early and go get a beer because this ChatGPT just did my work for me. He put those quotes, those cases in his brief. He gave it to the court. Opposing counsel researched it, double-checked his work, and found out that none of these cases were legit. Every single one of them were all BS. Did not exist, right? Or B, it existed, but it wasn't that case, right? It was a State versus Johnson. It was not an airline case. It was a case involving firearms or something like that. It was just a completely. And how's this happen? Look, I got to tell you, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I really sincerely do not know how a product like this AI being so smart can actually put a quote in a return, right? In the and put it in quotes and actually reference a case. How could that happen? How could a computer program not be required to double check its work to actually know that that quote came from something real? Well, I don't know, okay? And I wish I did. But what I do know is that AI is not a search engine, right? It has this artificial intelligence, meaning it's more like, it's closer to me and you than it is Google, right? And so it's getting better. The latest iteration of ChatGPT does have a search to internet function. I got to tell you, it actually really has helped a lot because now it'll tell you where it's getting its sources, and you can look at those sources. But the point is, we're not there yet. The other issue is that ChatGPT is not connected to legal resources, right? Databases. I put in here, I need a recent case law from Texas where it discusses whether it is a search to move a tarp to inspect a VIN on a motorcycle in a hotel parking lot. That's something that cops do. But it told me I don't have direct access to external databases. I can't access Westlaw. I can't access the Texas Judicial Branch website. I can't access Google Scholar. And I said to myself, well, at least you're being honest for once, Because normally, this is all from today, by the way. All these cases I'm going to show you are all from today because I wanted to make this video. But I'm like, at least you're being honest because most of the time, AI, it's a honey badger. It don't give a crap. Like, it'll just tell you what it thinks you want to hear, right? It's like a first date. And, so at least here it's saying I don't have. Now, one thing I did not research, and I don't have access to Google Gemini, which is their AI program. Frankly, I don't want access to it. I like my ChatGPT for various reasons. But the one thing is, I would presume that Gemini will be able to access Google Scholar. And if that's the case, that may be a good reason to check it out, right? I don't need that because I actually have a program that has AI and a legal database, and I'll show you that in a second. So let me just give you an example. Let's run through a chat here. Let's run through a query, okay? So what I put into, now I, just so you know, so I have an enterprise level ChatGPT account. I pay money for it, okay? So, all my staff have access to ChatGPT because that's, we use it, and I want to make sure that my people that are doing legal research for me have it, right? So that's fine. But I'm going to use the free account. So that's something that I think most people watching my channel are going to have. They're not going to spend whatever amount of money they're charging to buy a paid account. And if you have a paid account, I would presume that the answers might be a little better, but they're not going to be perfect because you're still going to be missing an essential part of this equation here. Okay, I'm going to show you that. But ChatGPT as a query engine is not going to give you enough of the legal research, I don't think. Let me just give you an example, okay? So I said, here is the query was, give me a recent case law that discusses where local officers act as representatives of the airport and enforce trespass laws without TSA present. So look, the idea here was I was doing this research for one of my students, and when TSA was gone, they would basically do TSA type searches. They would trespass people and so forth. So I just want to see what, just is there anything on this? And it came back and says, oh, I found your case. Okay. Mengart versus United States, a case right out of the Northern District of Oklahoma from 2022, right? And, it talks about it represents the airport enforced trespass laws and so forth. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And then when you actually look up Mengart, it's not really relevant. Okay. Hey, look, the case existed. That's great news. The case existed. And it actually involved TSA. That is also good because sometimes these cases have nothing to do with each other. Okay. But the problem is this is not a trespass case. This is not a local police officers working together. The local police officers were involved, but it's not quite answering the question. And it's really involving where TSA strip searched a passenger. That's not going to help me in my local law enforcement type case. So now let me introduce you to Midpage. Midpage, if you're watching, please consider sponsoring this channel. We have never actually accepted any sponsors on this channel, even though we've been asked. We're a small channel, but relatively, we a lot of cops see us. We're played in roll call rooms around the nation, and so for every one view, we probably have at least 5 officers watching that video, right? So it's immense. And so the point is that Midpage, I absolutely love your product, your service. So give me a call and see. I would shield for Midpage. So Midpage is midpage.ai. We've been their client for a very long time at Blue to Gold. As I said, I buy the best that I can for my employees, so they actually have all the tools they need to do their job and deliver good products and so forth. And this is the best. It is the best. And Westlaw, if you're listening, I spend a lot of money on you too. And your AI is garbage compared to Midpage. And you are a multi-billion-dollar company. Midpage is a startup. So I know Westlaw is getting better, but it's not even remotely close. So what I did here is I put in the same exact query, and it actually gave me a case that does talk about the relationship between TSA and law enforcement and so forth. Now, this is, in all fairness, this query is very specific. In fact, it's probably not even written well. That's another important thing to realize is that, garbage in, garbage out. If you're going to give a garbage query, you may get garbage results. I could do a better job. Again, I was just putting this together for today and just thinking of some examples, but I could do a better job in this query to get a better answer. But despite that fact, at least it gave me a real case involving somewhat of what I'm trying to do here. And so when you look up, United States, this is not what I do is I go to Westlaw. So this result is this case. I read the case on Westlaw. That's just how I do it. I don't read cases on Justia and so forth. But if you go to Westlaw, you actually find this case, and yes, it is a case involving law enforcement and TSA, kind of working together It's an airport case involving evidence. It's not exactly on point. Again, my query is still kind of crappy, but the point is, Midpage did a better job. Let's go back to ChatGPT and do another query. So here I said, I need a case from Nevada regarding a search of a cell phone and using biometrics to unlock the phone to change the settings of the phone to not allow the screen to turn off. Then write an exigent circumstances warrant because of evidence destruction to get into the phone and search it. Therefore, I would not compel the suspect to give me the passcode for the phone, but I would be able to search it once the warrant has been given to me. Give me a citation. It then gives me a case that State versus Wiley from 2015. And it says, in this case, I'll just paraphrase, summarize this. In this case, the Nevada Supreme Court addressed the issue of warrantless searches on cell phones, particularly in light of protections afforded in the Fourth Amendment. The court in Wiley held that the police could not search the phone, but they could seize it with exigent circumstances. Now, when we go to ChatGPT, all right, so based on this Wiley case, it looks like we found, the exact case we need. So when we take that citation, the 354 P3D 922, that's how we find cases, and we put that into our Westlaw, the case does not exist. That's the problem here, okay? This case is fake. Doesn't exist. It's all made up, even though ChatGPT speaks very confidently that it does exist. Let's compare that to Midpage. So Midpage is here's the same, I was putting there, right? Midpage is going to give me an actual case. I put the exact same parameter in here. Now, it gave me Smith versus State, a case from 2024. So, man, this is actually even very recent. And it gives me a very short snippet, imminent destruction of agency justified the seizure of a cell phone. When I go to Westlaw, I put that in there, boom, that case exists. And not only does that case exist, part of the case is the warrantless seizure of the defendant's cell phone from his person was justified under imminent destruction of evidence. Boom. That is the power of Midpage. You're not going to get that, okay, from just ChatGPT. It's not going to do it because it doesn't have the database. You got to have a database that has the millions, literally millions of cases in there. So this is a great example of the power of Midpage. Let's use another example. Here, the query is, I need a case law from Alabama where an officer searched a vehicle, can search the vehicle if the driver stops after the pursuit. An officer, and I put a lot of these, sometimes these queries are, they could be a little structured better. Sometimes I just put what people ask me right into the search box, and I don't really clean it up. So an officer attempts a traffic stop, the vehicle flees. The drives a couple miles down the road, decides to pull over the driver and stop. The driver and all occupants cooperate and exit the vehicle and are taken into custody. Officers arrest the driver for evading. He says he wants his passenger to take the car. Can the officer search the car before releasing the passenger? Okay, so now ChatGPT says confidently, we can use Ex parte versus Williams, case from 1994, address the situation involving vehicle searches after a suspect has been apprehended following a pursuit. All right. Let's look it up. Check our work. Doesn't exist. Okay? How frustrating is that, right? Especially, if you are not doing this full time and you just need to find a case because you are an instructor in use of force. You are teaching something about, I don't know, sexual harassment or something like that. You got assigned to do that legal updates training on a new bill or something like that. The point is, or you're doing, you're a detective and you're trying to find out some case law for a robbery that you're working. The point is, it tells you it exists. It gives you these numbers. It gives you a citation, and boom, it doesn't exist. Let's compare that to Midpage. I put the exact same query in. It says a relevant case addressing a vehicle search at the pursuit is State versus Jemison, a case from 2010. The court examined the scope of permissible searches, incident to arrest, including whether they align with the precedent of Arizona versus Gam. Okay, sounds like we're on to something here. We put that into our Westlaw, and boom, it definitely exists. And it's part of the synopsis and the holdings is the United States Supreme Court's decision, Arizona versus Gant, regarding search of the vehicle's incident to arrest applied retroactively. That's cool. And officer's search of defendant's vehicle did not violate the rule announced at Gant. Now, you would still need to read the case to kind of find out what they're talking about. Are the facts similar enough for you to use? But the point is, you're getting real cases, real alignment here. They're symbiotic of what you're trying to, what you're looking for. It's just great. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do another example, okay? So I need a recent case law where it discusses searching a passenger's purse during a probation search of a car. The case that you're looking for, my friend, it says People versus Reyes, 2018, may be relevant. And it's talked about the California appeal addressed the legality of searching a passenger's personal belongings during probation search of the vehicle. Okay? We go to Westlaw. We looked that up. It doesn't exist. Okay? People versus Reyes with that citation doesn't exist. The other thing I want you to be aware of is if you start looking in the on the interwebs and you start thinking, well, okay, because this is what you're going to do anyway. You likely don't have Westlaw like I do, so use the internet. And you're like, oh, there's People versus Reyes, and it's not exactly the same citation, but sure enough, close enough. A 14 versus 19, that's not too far off. And this is a case involving a murder conviction. It does not have anything to do with probation searches. That's the problem with ChatGPT. Go to Midpage. So Midpage gave me a case called People versus Tipton. And this is a case involving a probation search of a motor vehicle, of a passenger's property, and so forth. So the point is, it is spot on is strong, but it is highly relevant. It's not going to waste your time. Go down rabbit holes. It's going to really helpful. So at the end of the day, use ChatGPT with caution. However, I believe that you can get a subscription to Midpage separately. You don't need ChatGPT 2 as well. However, I have found, and I've used both, and I tried to use both separately, but I have found that if you use Midpage on top of a paid ChatGPT model, man, you're cooking with gas. That is the best way. And again, I'm willing to put the money in there because this is what I do for a living. I also understand that you may not be able to do that. If Midpage is also watching this channel, please consider sponsoring us. And finally, no, absolutely not. Please do not email me and say, Anthony, can I have your credentials to log into Midpage? So, but the thing is, I guess another point is you got to pay to play. Okay, Google Scholar is the best free legal database out there. And if you can get Gemini and Google Scholar to talk, which I'm sure it will, then that is the best, in my view, is going to be the best free alternative to what I do here at Blue to Gold. Okay? I hope this has helped. I think it's an interesting topic. There's a lot more we can do here to really flesh out what's kind of going on behind the scene. But if you like what we're doing here at Blue to Gold, please do me a favor. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and until next time, my friends, you stay safe.